Hello there, it is Kyle here with my new podcast, episode number 1 of Mr Marvell and Friends. And these podcasts are going to be sort of focused around Assassin's Creed, of course. It's my favourite franchise. But I'm also going to sort of talk about other games and whatnot. So, yeah, looking forward to it. I'm going to see how it goes. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my first guest, which is Lokuzt. Lokuzt, can you just tell a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to gaming-wise and what you've been playing recently?
Yeah, sure. First of all, hey everyone, great to be here with Mr. Marvell. And yeah, I'm a content creator on Twitch and YouTube. You can find me on Lokuzt SW, both on Twitch and YouTube. And lately I've been playing. I finished recently Horizon Zero Dawn on stream. It was actually pretty cool. My first playthrough. I got a really good deal for it for PC, and I was like, okay, I got to play this, and I don't regret it at all. It's an amazing game. And also, I started recently, just this week, I started The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild for the first time as well.
Amazing game.
And yeah, it's really cool. I'm actually really enjoying it on the Switch, and yeah, really having a great time on stream with it. And how about you? What have you been playing?
Not too much, only really on the Switch playing a bit of Splatoon and Smash Bros. I only recently bought Splatoon. It seems like a kid's game, and it kind of is, but it's a lot of fun. So I'd recommend it.
Yeah,
it's
I've
mainly online.
Yeah.
Like
I've heard about it, but I never played it.
It's good fun. But yeah, our main focus today is going to be on Assassin's Creed, and today we got the news that the Wrath of the Druids is going to be delayed. Unfortunately, but it is what it is. So first of all, what do you make of the delay, and are you looking forward to the DLC?
Well, I was kind of hoping that it wasn't going to get delayed, but I kind of had a feeling, that little feeling that it was going to get delayed. But I think at this point, I think it's inevitable. Like, I also work in software, and in the pandemic, like, you just hit so many snags. And especially game development, like I think the snags that you can hit along the road are like multiplied by by millions. So I was kind of I was like, okay, maybe it's gonna happen, and yeah, it was delayed. But I think it's fine. I think if they are delaying it, it's because they actually have to delay it to make it a bit better. And if it's a better experience, like I don't mind it at all, honestly. And yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for the DLC. I finished everything in Valhalla like pretty soon.
Wow.
So it's like I've been waiting for DLC for quite a long time.
What about the river raids though?
Oh yeah. I did the river raids, but I finished those pretty quickly as well. But I mean, maybe they're gonna add more river raids. I don't know. I mean, they can. I don't know. I don't really think they're gonna add more, but
yeah.
So
you made a pretty cool video about your sort of 5 things you're looking forward to. Do you want to touch on them a little bit and for the Wrath of the Druids?
Oh yeah. I mean, one really cool thing that I researched was that apparently the dude that runs Dublin or Dyflin, as it was called back then. Apparently, he was one of the sons of Ivar the Boneless. So you know what happens in the game.
Yeah.
So it was kind of okay. So it's probably gonna get heated there. So that is like the most interesting part. I'm really interested to see what they do with that. And one thing that I don't know how it's going to work really is like the smuggling and the trading. Because like one thing that I thought is like, okay, trading, you can like, you get so many resources. Maybe you can trade resources like for gear. And I think that's what's going to be just like, oh, you have gear and you can raid, get resources, and then use those resources to get gear. Because I think most of Ravensthorpe is probably going to be already evolved by the time you go like evolved to the max, so like you wouldn't have anything to do with those resources. So I think that's one thing that was gonna be done. And I really think the smuggling is probably gonna be mission oriented. It's probably gonna be, oh, we need to enter the fort, so you do smuggle. You go inside something. You go in there. It's probably gonna be something like that. What do you reckon?
I just want a nice, interesting story. Nice, short, concise, interesting story, like some of the older ACs. Obviously, it looks like there's going to be hardly like anything to do with assassins or hidden ones because it's called Wrath of the Druids. But I just want an interesting story, sort of like Curse of the Pharaohs in Origins. That's what I'm looking for. Because we'll see. Yeah,
I understand. Like, I actually, that's one of the things that it really depends on how big the map is going to be. Because I think if they make the map too big, then I think the story will kind of like lose its way. Especially if they have a lot of alliances, because those alliances are probably going to come back with the thing like the Gaelic kings. I mean, depends. If it's like 3 alliances with 3 kind of like 3 separate like storylines that converge at the end, it may be really interesting. But if it's like 7 or 10, it's okay. It's probably gonna be too much, and it's gonna be. But I don't think. I think since it's a DLC, I really think it's gonna be concise, and I'm actually really looking forward to see what they do with it. But the one that I'm most interested in is definitely the Siege of Paris. That is I'm looking forward to the most.
Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Yeah, we was going to touch on more on this until we heard about the news getting delayed. So why don't we just get into the next topic swiftly? Okay, so this could be quite interesting. Obviously, we've got to wait for the DLCs before we make our final sort of decision. But where would you rank Valhalla as it stands in compared to all the other ACs?
Well,
it's a tough question.
Yeah, it's a really tough question. Like, I actually want to hear your answer first.
Okay,
I want to hear.
Well, at the minute, I don't want to just sound like I'm saying this for the sake of it. It is my least favourite. It's right at the bottom at the minute. That was mainly because of the technical issues I've had. I've lost my save. My end game save. That
even that gives me chills up my spine, man. If that happened to me, Jesus.
Yeah, that was like, so I put that tweet out. But I had so many technical issues with the game. 20 odd times it kicked me out. I was on the PlayStation 4, by the way. Kicked me out in important story moments. There's loads of bugs. I had more bugs in Valhalla than Unity. I get there's a pandemic and there was issues because of that. But when you add the technical issues to the fact that the game's a lot longer than I wanted it to be, and you mentioned the alliances, I thought there's way too many of them, and a lot of them were filler. They were filler, if we're being honest. There was some good storytelling in there. Like you could tell Darby was writing it, and there was some good writing and some good characters in there as well. A lot of good side characters. I
agree.
But the length of it, plus the technical issues, and the fact that the hidden ones and the Templars or the Order of the Ancient stuff is put on the backbench it's just all those things into one. And 2 of the main things I like in the game is the Bureaus and Eivor as a character. But when you think about it, Eivor didn't even care about those Bureaus. Really, did she? Did she or he? She just goes in them, picks up a codex, gives it to Hatham while he's staring at a wall, and you get
like later, son.
It's like, okay, she was a bit curious at the start, wasn't she?
Yeah.
With Basim, I remember a bit curious, but other than that, the whole bulk of the game with the alliances, she's looking for glory, and it's not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid at the minute it is it's below Odyssey at the minute.
Yeah. I can totally understand like putting it that way, since you had like so many problems. Like it's fair. I think it's fair, a fair evaluation of your experience. I actually was pretty lucky with bugs and everything, but I played on the PC, so it probably was like a more stable platform than the consoles, and so I was lucky there. But where I would place, basically, like my ranking of Assassin's Creed is like, if we're gonna talk about like games in isolation, the games are good. You know, there are like really good games as isolated games. But I think like, for example, if you talk about as an Assassin's Creed game, to me, I put them like lower in the ranking because, you know, they don't have the parkour. The parkour is not there. The stealth is pretty much broken in Valhalla. The combat, it's not really that interesting, because that's the thing. Like there's always like glimpses of greatness, but then the balance is a little bit off. Like in Odyssey, there was a point where I felt really good about the game, and it was like in the middle game, like at the middle, where the curve of how much damage you do to an enemy and like the sponginess like flats out. So it grows and it flats out at the middle game for like about 2-3 levels. And in those levels, like it feels amazing because you kind of feel like you hit a guard for like three strikes with the sword and he dies. So it kind of feels like the you know, kind of feels like realistic, let's say realistic. and they die, and you can use abilities and they die from the abilities as well. But then like after that last level in the middle game, it goes up again. And it's kind of like you start hitting those walls with enemies being too spongy. And in Valhalla, it's the same thing. They move your camera way too much in the combat. I almost got dizzy playing the game because they move the camera way too much. And the abilities don't really flow together to make like a really cool fluid combat. I would place the game, I mean, probably at the middle tier. Like if this was like a tier maker, like, you know, S tier is like Brotherhood, Revelations. I would honestly pull. I would love to put Unity on the S tier, but I just, for me, in my heart, Unity is an S tier. But realistically, as a game, it can really be an S tier. But I would put them like at a B, kind of like Assassin's Creed 1 is really great. I would put it at an A maybe, and I would put like Valhalla, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla are like at a B level to me. I think the whole RPG trope in Assassin's Creed RPGs, you know what I mean. I tend to call it the Witcher style Assassin's Creed because it clearly was inspired by The Witcher 3. Yeah, I would put them all in the same tier, like at the middle of the table, definitely, because I don't know. I don't think it fits the style. Like one of my biggest like grievances with that is like the removal of parkour. Like one of my biggest heartbreaks. Like when I played Origins, and it's like, and they're describing the game as like, oh, you can now climb everything. I'm like, what? What about architectural details and being able to do all those cool things? I was expecting more. I was expecting like, oh, we've improved the system, but it was like we removed the system.
That's it.
I was like, no. And then people started, people started getting stressed, man. Like when Odyssey was revealed, and it was like, there's no assassins, there's no hidden blade, and everybody was like, oh, okay. Everybody was started to go a little bit scared, which I mean, it's understandable.
The thing is with Odyssey, I knew exactly what it was going to be. But with Valhalla, I thought, okay, they're bringing back the hidden ones, they're bringing back all this sort of lore, but it felt a bit half baked
Yeah.
by the end of the game. For an 80-hour game or more, there wasn't enough of that in it for me. And
Yeah.
I didn't even, when I was talking about saying it was my least favorite earlier, I didn't even mention the stealth and parkour. That's another thing.
Yeah.
When I went on Let's Talk Assassin's Creed podcast, the main things we was talking about the identity, and the main things were stealth, parkour, and bringing assassins and Templars back. They should be the priority going forward.
Yeah. That's actually a great misconception, like with a lot of people, that people don't understand. Like sometimes when you say the identity is that, and then people say, oh, but it has hidden ones and it has the hidden place. Like that's not necessarily the identity. I look at it and a game's identity with like more people also talk about like the story and how it connects with the lore as identity. And it's like, I mean, I don't necessarily view it as that is the identity. For me, a game's identity is its gameplay, right? Because you can have, like, if you have a game called The Last of Us, that is a first-person shooter, and it tells like a parallel story of Ellie and Joel or whatever, people are going to say, oh, it's The Last of Us. Like it tells the Last of Us story. So it's the same game. It has the same identity. I don't think so. I think the game's identity stems from the gameplay, not the story. But that's the story identity. That's the lore and the universe identity. But the game, that I think games are defined by their gameplay. So I think a game, and even saying like, oh, I want the game to go back to its identity, a lot of people like immediately shout, oh, you would just want the old games back. And it's like, no, I want the old games systems improved with the resources that we have today.
Exactly.
Because that was one thing that was like really, one thing that I started looking at recently was like, if you go and look at the old games, like Black Flag and stuff like that, you look at concept arts for those games, and every major city is like full of citizens. You know, like a city would at the time. You know, like full of people in the markets and stuff like that. Perfect opportunities for like social stuff and stuff like that. But you know, at the time they didn't have the resources to actually put that many NPCs in the place. And then Unity, you can clearly see the contrast between those games. Like Black Flag in Havana, you have like maybe like 5 NPCs in a square, with a market that's like really tiny. It's like the saddest market ever. But if you go to Unity, it's like a completely different world. You have it actually feels alive, right? To me, one thing that I like to say a lot on my streams, like Unity is the only Assassin's Creed game. Unity and Syndicate, let's say, are the only Assassin's Creed games that actually feel like next gen.
Yeah, well, I see what you're saying.
They actually feel like next gen, not on terms of graphics, because obviously in terms of graphics, Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla are amazing. But in actual gameplay systems and what they actually put into the world, they actually feel like next gen. Like I never thought I would be able to see that many NPCs in a game, but Unity brought that to life. And I just imagine like, oh my God, I would love to have a Florence and Venice with that technology done today. That would be amazing. Even Havana, like throwing Black Flag in there, Havana with all that technology would look absolutely stunning. Like it's crazy to think. And if you go in Valhalla, if you go to a town and you go to a market, there's not many people there. You know, Odyssey is like also pretty barren. Origins had really cool atmosphere, but not as many people. But you know, it's kind of Egypt. I don't know how that would work at the time, but
there must have been a lot of people there still, like in the cities. But Alexandria could have been a bit more packed.
That's one of the things. Like you touched on a really good point. When I first played Origins and I went to Alexandria, I was kind of underwhelmed because like, oh no, the buildings are amazing. I was like, wow, this is great. But then I was like, where are the people? Like this is Alexandria. Like
Yeah.
Like that would have been like a lot more people there, like way more. And this is coming off of Unity and Syndicate. So I was like used to like the big crowds. I was playing Unity, preparing for Origins. I was like, oh my God. But you know, like I was disappointed in that regard.
Well, I think it comes down to the size of the map. They simply can't have all these NPCs because the size of the last 3 maps was massive, and that's part of the reason why stealth doesn't really work and parkour really.
Yeah, that's actually something that I talked about. Like I think stealth in Valhalla has more problems because they have a bug. They have a weird bug that happens where it's almost like, let's say a guard almost detects you and you kill the guard. It's almost like the buffer for the guard, the buffer of detection doesn't, let's say that it doesn't reset. So the next guard that's going to see you has the previous guard's buffer. So the buffer was almost full, and now they detect you, and since it was almost full, it goes to full like way quicker, and then people get it detected immediately. Like it happens a lot, and I've seen a lot of people complain about that, and I think that's what happens. You also have a problem with animals and guards sharing the same detection buffer, because I don't know if you've noticed, but if a snake detects you in the grass and there's like 10 guards in front, the guards immediately know where you are.
Yeah, that's silly, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a bug that they probably need to fix. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to have it fully fixed on Wrath of the Druids. Like one can hope.
Yeah, let's hope so.
But yeah, like going back to the identity, that's what I think it is. Like it comes down to gameplay. So I would love to have like a parkour with someone with today's resources, see what they can do with parkour. Social stealth is amazingly important in Assassin's Creed. I think it's one of the big pillars, like big pillars of Assassin's Creed. What else? Parkour, social stealth, and
apparently though, if you've got an animus, that's all you need. That's all you need.
And I think everything else just fits into that. I guess the combat, you could say, like I guess the combat could just do like something, can be creative with it. I don't really think, but I think those are really important, like social stealth and yeah. Like do you like the bigger maps, or do you prefer like city hubs?
Yeah,
like Florence and Venice.
Yeah, city hubs. This is what I want going forward. I want smaller open worlds like the cities, and then I want specific like corridor linear missions where it's just like an Uncharted chapter. I want stuff like that in between open area bits, open world area bits.
That'd be cool. That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, just like so you got 2 maybe 3 open world areas like in a game, and then different in between. Yeah,
like the Cappadocia segment in Revelations, almost.
Pretty much, yeah. I want stuff like that.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool.
Instead of like a massive open world where you don't even know where you are. I didn't even know. Look, I live in England. I didn't even know where I was.
yeah, that's the thing, man. I agree with you. I agree with you. I prefer like the hubs. Like I can imagine like if Assassin's Creed 2 was done today, like if doing Florence like they did Unity, for example, like Paris and Unity and doing Florence with that, like that would have been amazing. Like buildings with a 1-to-1 scale, like that would actually be mind-blowing. And I think having like, can you imagine having to ride like a full Italy map, and you have to ride with Ezio from Florence to Venice to Forlì to Venice it would just like, it's just, I think it's just at a point where you're just like, I'm tired.
Yeah,
it's just too much. It's just too much padding, and like all the resources that the devs have to take to do those like in between bits, they can just apply that to the cities, and that would make them much better.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's just a load of outposts and tombs in its place, isn't it? For the last 3 games, like I've said this before. I liked parts of every RPG AC game, the last three, but
Yeah.
I need it to go back. So what I was sort of explaining earlier, where there's 2 or 3 open world areas like cities, then you've got the corridor missions that are linear, and some of them
Yeah.
might be focused on parkour. Let's say, like it's still
Yeah.
parkour in the cities, of course, but maybe a mission that's
Mm.
focused on parkour itself. Like,
Yeah,
I think that'd be
definitely.
cool.
I
That would
mean,
be
that's
cool.
what I'm hoping that the next Assassin's Creed is gonna be. You know? Going back to the roots, you know, like city hubs and parkour and the social stuff. And with today's resources, I think like they could do so many cool things. But did you catch what Patrice Desilets said?
No, I didn't.
Patrice, who, if anyone doesn't know, it was like the father of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Basically, he said that, you know, social stealth. People asked him like why social stealth like just disappear, and he's just said like it's money, man. It's
Yeah.
like if there are. I mean, if you think about it, like he's kind of right. Where this systems like Assassin's Creed was unique in its approach. You know, like it had social stealth. It had that unique kind of like parkour system. And you know, like Ubisoft is the one developing that. Like they're the ones that who are pioneering that sort of like stuff, and no one else is doing it. So like they are the ones who have to do all of the work. And you know, like that of course involves a lot of money, like to pay salaries for the developers, doing R&D for prototyping the systems and the engines and stuff like that. So I mean, I can see why they're going in terms like in a business stance. Yeah, I mean, they make more money if they just go with the games more simpler, but that's not really what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't help but agree with you. A lot of AC fans would agree with sort of what we're saying, I think, but so many people love these type of games,
Yeah,
don't they?
yeah, but that's the thing. I think a lot of people love these types of games, but they don't love Assassin's Creed. You know, like they I guess it's true. I mean, they love Assassin's Creed for what they played, but
Yeah.
and they look back at the older games and they say, "Oh, I love the story and stuff like that," but they don't love the games. But if you don't love like the old Assassin's Creed games, then you don't love the game. You love, you know, you love the story, you love the lore, you love the universe, you love um, all of that stuff. You don't necessarily love Assassin's Creed because I feel like the new Assassin's Creed games are not necessarily like going back to the identity thing is like in terms of universe, they are Assassin's Creed, but in terms of video game, they're not Assassin's Creed. So
Yeah.
I'm saying they don't love Assassin's Creed, the game, but they love the universe. And I actually saw like recently on Twitter someone who did like a Photoshop thing with Odyssey, and they said like, oh, they should have done like Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Adventure instead of like Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Which I
Star Wars,
think,
like Star Wars did.
yeah,
Star
yeah,
Wars
exactly.
story.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool because then you detach yourself from the Assassin's Creed game identity, and you're saying like, oh, we're gonna tell a different, you know, a story inside the universe, but you know, like with different, different, you know, gameplay and whatever. But you know, I understand why they did it. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, just it's gonna sell a lot more.
That's it. Well, I think that's been quite a good discussion about that. We could be here for hours on that topic.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
one of those topics, isn't it?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, we should move on to the next topic, which is E3 as 2021 has been announced. We've got the likes of, let me just double check, Ubisoft, Konami, Capcom, Xbox, Nintendo, and more joining, doing their presentations. So what would you sort of like to see from those developers? What games and stuff would you like to see?
Well, I mean, straight off the bat, I think from Nintendo, I would love to see more about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, you ain't finished the first one. You've won the second already. That's how good it is.
Yes, I want to see, because like I know I'm gonna finish the first one, so I'm already like, okay, let me see what they're gonna bring with the second one. I'm really interested to see.
Yeah, so am I. So am I. That's why I bought the Switch for that game. Like, it's the exploration I love the most about that game.
Yeah.
Well, the combat as well. The way, different ways of like, the puzzles. Oh my god. Yeah, I'll let you speak because you're playing it recently. Go on.
Yeah. Oh no, we were going well. I was agreeing with you because it's really like, creativity in that game is like so important. And I always forget about that thing because I play, you get used to playing these games where, like for example, Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla recently, can you like really be creative in the ways that you approach things? I mean, you can be to a degree, but not really. And I'm playing and chat is always saying like, oh, do this and do that. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Like I have all of these things that I can do. And I always forget because my mind is now formatted to playing the video game, just like it's this way. And
people are still finding out different ways of doing things today about that game.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's really cool. I like it. Even though I hate those motion controls puzzles.
Oh yeah, they're a bit tricky.
Like I'm tilting the thing down, and the ball is going up, and I'm like, what? What is happening?
They're a bit tricky. Yeah. So
you have to basically cheat or something. Cheat your way to the victory.
So anything else from Nintendo?
Not really. Yeah, I'm not a very big Nintendo gamer.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you? Anything from Nintendo?
Yeah, I think I doubt we'll see Fire Emblem. I played Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I love that. But I want to see the next one if possible. The next Xenoblade Chronicles game. I'm a big fan of those. Probably some of my favourite games. Maybe a Smash Bros character because I bought the pass. But yeah, they'll be the one I'm looking at for the most. But it's even like Bayonetta and Metroid and stuff that they haven't really announced yet. So they could be really busy in E3. They do their own events as well. But yeah, is it Capcom's Devil May Cry, isn't it? The next Devil May Cry I'd like to see.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it is. I think I'm right.
I think it's Capcom.
Yeah, I want to see the next Devil May Cry as well. The last game was so cool with all that stylish moves.
I love the combat, but I'm not really into the games. If I could just like play the game for the combat, it would. But
yeah, the combat.
I just have so many games to play. It's like I haven't gotten too far to Devil May Cry yet. There's always new games coming out, and it keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah,
maybe one day I'll go over it on stream. Who knows?
Yeah, they are. I'm not really into heavy metal, but I kind of am. When I'm playing a game and there's heavy metal, I'm like, yeah, loving it. But I don't listen to it that often.
I'm actually a pretty big fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty big fan of heavy metal.
Yeah, I think I am as well. I just don't listen to it enough.
Just imagine that you're playing Devil May Cry.
Good idea. But I think Xenoblade has a bit of sort of heavy metal to it as well. Their range of music, from anything from sad, emotional to like heavy rock or metal, they have in their games. I love the battle music. So yeah, Xenoblade, next Xenoblade game for me. It's quite a niche game still, but
yeah, I haven't heard too much about. Like I know the name, but I don't know the game. So
yeah, sort of like Japanese RPG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it's a JRPG, but I don't know.
I think a lot of people are put off by it because like the sort of the facial expressions are sometimes quite dead and sort of the lip
Oh,
syncing because it's Japanese. A lot of people get put off by that, but the stories are so good, and the music is amazing. But yeah, Ubisoft. What do you expect from Ubisoft? Surely not another
honestly,
AC.
yeah, I don't think we're gonna see anything from Assassin's Creed. We may get a trailer, like for maybe the Siege of Paris, or like a teaser for the Siege of Paris and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe with no release date, but just like, oh, here's a teaser of what may appear. Um, and honestly, I just want to see more about Far Cry 6. That's really
Oh yeah.
The initial trailer like was so cool, it's really great. It has that really Narcos feeling. And I think like with the Anton Esposito is like probably gonna nail it as well, like with his performance,
Oh yeah.
playing the villain. And I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do there. Um, I'm really excited for the game. How about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same as you. I don't play Far Cry anymore. I played a couple, but never finished them. I think 2 and 3. Um, yeah, Siege of Paris trailer maybe. I'll tell you what I would like to see. Have you ever played Child of Light? It's like a
Oh
side
yeah, yeah,
scroller. Oh my god, I love that game.
yeah. It
maybe a
was really
second,
cool.
maybe a second number 2, Child of Light 2, maybe.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool.
You're playing as like a princess, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it as well. I actually got the edition, like
Oh yeah,
the collector's edition that came out at the
yeah.
time. I got it. It came with a little light up keychain.
Did it?
Yeah, it
Nice.
was like pretty small. It was like pretty small.
Hmm.
It was cool.
I just
Um,
remember proper getting into that game. Like I was like, it's one of them. I just see it. I thought, yeah, why not?
yeah,
Ubisoft.
yeah, it's like a small game.
Mm,
It's cool to chill for a while, and it's
yeah,
really pretty as well. Like the art
yeah.
direction game is like really. Um,
That's the
but
thing with.
also, one thing that I remembered, we might see something from the Watch Dogs DLCs, because
Oh, okay.
yeah, Watch Dogs Legion has DLCs coming out, and I don't think we've ever seen like anything big, like in terms of like uh either. I don't know if there's release dates. I don't remember seeing like any big trailer for any of the expansions. Like I think one of the expansions is even going to include Aiden from the first one,
Oh, yeah, I see that.
so maybe it's going to appear on the E3 show.
Wasn't that well received? Was it Legion overall?
Well,
Like,
I mean, I don't know. I didn't really go around checking the waters for how it was. I mean, it was a cool game. I liked it, but I felt like I mean, I don't feel like a particular connection because there's like no main character.
mm,
So it just feels like like I can say, oh, this is like my favorite until I find a new favorite. And then until I
yeah,
find a new favorite, it's like you always find someone that you like more. Or like if you're like me, you're always trying to see, oh, but I don't want the guy. Like sometimes you find someone that's really cool and that you identify with, but that person has a taser, and you're like,
yeah.
oh, okay, I don't want to go around with the taser.
Did you
It's gonna.
did you use the granny, famous
Oh
granny?
no, no,
Huh?
no, that was not for me. Usually, actually, I don't usually play around too much in the games. I take them pretty seriously.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty funny. Like I
Mm.
cannot lie. Like having your granny, your spy granny, is pretty amazing.
Oh,
And
wicked.
what other companies are there?
So Warner Brothers. I said
It's probably
Konami,
like
didn't I?
it's probably like that Suicide Squad game
Oh, okay.
from Warner Brothers, I
Yeah.
think.
Take Two Interactive and Coach Media. I don't know
Hmm.
all the developers, to be honest. So I need to, as I'm doing YouTube,
Yeah,
I need to be more familiar with every developer, to be honest, but I don't know them too.
yeah. I don't know.
Xbox, it might be, I guess they would say Bethesda, but wouldn't some Bethesda games be there if Xbox are there?
I mean, if they're there, I hope it's the Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, a lot of people waiting for that, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody is holding their breath for. But I mean, it's like I'm holding my breath, but I hope it's as good. I mean, not as good as like I want it better than Skyrim.
Yeah. Never played Skyrim.
Oh, you never?
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's actually a pretty cool game. Like I think a lot of that's I think that's around the time when people started really liking RPGs.
Mm.
Like it was around like, but really, really like there were already like a huge like legion of fans of RPGs. But I think like with Skyrim, that's when it like really exploded, and then everybody liked RPGs.
Yeah.
Because Skyrim was like also had that really exploration element to really nail down, um, like in Breath of the Wild, where it's like nothing is marked on your map, like nothing. Like, but you're walking around, and then you see some dude in the river, and then you go talk to the dude, and then the dude tells you about something, and then you like I don't know, like you find a cave somewhere and there's like a vampire there, and then the vampire and then the vampire tells you like, oh, you can do this, and then boom, a huge quest line unlocks like that takes you like a huge amount of hours to do like, but it's like a fully fledged like storyline, like a side storyline, like fully fledged with several quests and several choices to make, and like your choices really matter, and they change how like the thing ends up and like which powers you have. And like I remember like playing Skyrim like for the first time, and then finding like the werewolves, the dudes that were werewolves. I found it like on like an accident. I was like, what? I can be a werewolf? What? It's like super. It's like, and I just like spent like so many hours, like 10 hours, just playing that storyline and exploring. And I was like, wait, oh yeah, I still have the main quest line that I have to do. But you know, like
that's cool.
But that's the thing, like that game is like it's an RPG that you're the character. You don't have like, so I think it works really well. And then like the whole genre exploded, and now almost every game has a huge open world with like huge distances where you do basically nothing. And you know,
wonder what game you're hinting at.
I mean, so many games right now, like Assassin's Creed turned like that. Or I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn to an extent, even though the map wasn't that huge to make it boring. And you know, if you go into Horizon Zero Dawn, it's more simple because like you have the side quests to do, and then you do them. And if you do the main quest line, it takes you to basically every single part in the map.
Yeah.
And then you are the one that decides if you want to do that. And but you know, it's one of the things I honestly think that Horizon Zero Dawn would have probably be better if it was a little bit more focused and it didn't have such a larger area. Because if you go around, then it's like for example, I think that if I was like playing Horizon Zero Dawn alone, I'd probably be more bored with it if I was playing it on stream. So I was like talking to people while I was playing it. But I realized like I'm walking a lot, or I have to override this charger so that I can ride it. And it's like all of these large distances that you're doing essentially nothing. Like, and that's like, at least that's my personal taste. Like in video games, I like to be more active in the video game instead of like just doing nothing for like large distances.
Well, I think the best games recently, there was a massive open world that was perfect. That was Red Dead 2, I thought. But I know it's massive, but it doesn't feel like it.
But that's the thing. That is why I say like, why do I like? I just said, oh, I hate doing nothing for large distances, but I said I loved Skyrim. But that's the thing, because when you play Skyrim, I have a different mindset. This is a role-playing game. Like, I'm role-playing this character that I'm like, this is a character that I created. I customized my entire character, like to look however I want. And I'm gonna tell my story. I'm gonna behave like I imagine myself there. Oh, I'm gonna go there. And it's a different mindset of playing. And when I play Assassin's Creed or Horizon Zero Dawn, like, I want to see Aloy's story. I want to see Eivor's story. I don't want to be like, oh, you have to do something there, and then you have to walk with your horse all the way over there, because the game is like, oh, please do other stuff. Please, please, I beg you, please do other stuff. But it's like, I don't have time for other stuff. So it's like, I have to go. And you go and you go, and it's like 2 kilometers all the way to the quest point. It's like, oh, you can use your fast travel point. And it's like, exactly. Then it's like people just start using the fast travel point. And if the games were a little bit more focused, I think they would be better. And that's Red Dead Redemption is the same thing. Like, even though the game is not like a role-playing, it's so weird because it's like a mix. It's not a role-playing, whereas you create your character, but it has the set story of Arthur Morgan, but it's more role-playing game than most of RPGs right now.
True.
It's like, it's so weird. It's like, it's so weird because you can role-play a lot better than in any other RPG there is right now. And that's mind-blowing to me.
So true.
How Rockstar did that. It's amazing. I love Red Dead Redemption too. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, can't beat it. I think so many people have said it's their favourite game of all time. Sometimes I'll say it, but then sometimes I retract. But it's right up there. It's one of my favourite games.
Well, like, as a video game, I think, honestly, it's probably, I would have to say it's probably the best video game ever created.
Yeah.
Because like look at what you can do. Like, of course, like, the gunplay is not perfect. But just like, look at what you can do in the game. Like, it's like the whole interactivity in the world is like unparalleled, really.
Oh, what about the Braithwaite? Is it the Braithwaite Manor mission? Oh my god.
Oh yeah. That's really
whole
good.
build up to that. Well, there's so many moments, but that stands out for me.
Yeah.
As well as
because
getting
that's
drunk with Lenny, of course.
Yeah, that's the thing, because Red Dead Redemption, like, a lot of people go into Red Dead Redemption thinking that it's going to be an action game or whatever, but they're actually trying to make you absorb all that beauty of the world and actually make you feel like you're in the world. Because, like, if Assassin's Creed, like Valhalla and Odyssey and Origins, were as big as they are right now, but they allowed the same interactivity as in Red Dead Redemption, I would not complain at all. I would be like, okay, because I now can transport myself and behave and think, okay, like, I can actually interact in this world. I can say hi to people. I can say to Dag to, like, go away and antagonize Dag.
Yes.
That would be cool.
That would be.
And, like,
that would be.
That would be cool. Like, you could interact. You can go to markets maybe and talk to people, maybe talk them into giving you a discount. Like, there's so many cool.
If the game was smaller, they could have done that.
And even if the game was like as big as it is, like, if it allowed the same level of interactivity as Red Dead Redemption 2, I think I wouldn't complain at all. I would be like, okay, at least they're doing RPG as an RPG and not just like, I think the low level thinking is, okay, so Skyrim did well and Witcher 3 did well. So what do we have to do? Oh, we just have to put levels, big map, quests, and that's it. That's an RPG. I mean, I don't really think that's an RPG per se. Like, in very simple terms, yes. But if you go like deep into what it is, then I don't think it is. And that's why I always feel weird about Red Dead Redemption 2, because it's not really an RPG. You don't have leveling, but you can do way much more role playing than any RPG that they exists. Like I always get confused with.
Yeah.
I want to say Red Dead Redemption 2 is an RPG, but it's not. But it is.
Yeah.
But it's not. But it is.
Yeah, can't put it better myself. Well, yeah, I definitely agree. I think we're going to wrap this up now. That was a good little added topic at the end, and I think we covered a lot, covered quite a bit. But yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing yet. This is episode 1, but I'm going to grow. I'm going to grow into it, I think.
Yeah, you need to let your wings fly.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you for joining me, mate. I'll put the link in the description of all of your Twitch, your YouTube, and Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. But do you want to just just say where you can find yourself again?
Yeah, sure. On Twitter, you can search Lokuzt SW, even though that's not my tag. You can check in the description. It's my name, but since I'm Portuguese, like no one is going to understand which letters they are. So just check in the description for the Twitter. And YouTube and Twitch is just Lokuzt SW. You can find me there. On Twitch, I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So yeah.
Nice one. Good stuff. Thanks for joining me, mate. It's been a bit of a blast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
it was really fun.
It was. Yeah, I'll be posting this soon, and if all goes well, there's no technical issues, I'll be doing an episode 2, and would love to have you on again, mate.
Yeah, sure, man. I'll be here anytime you want.
Wicked. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you, Lokuzt. See you soon.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.